Actor Charlie Sheen today publicly shared that he is HIV positive. Sheen says he was diagnosed some 4 years ago after suffering a range of symptoms that led him to worry that he possibly had a brain tumor. But his doctors determined that he was or is infected with HIV, the virus that leads to AIDS. He sat down with Matt Lauer on the Today Show this morning to talk about living with HIV.
It's a hard 3 letters to absorb, you know? It's a turning point in one's life.
Sheen says he told every sexual partner and claims, quote, it's impossible he has infected anyone else. But Sheen also says he had many people threaten to make his diagnosis public and has paid millions of dollars to keep that information private. Today in the 4x4, we are taking 4 minutes during the 4 to talk about the impact this could have on public perceptions of HIV and AIDS, as well as the stigma many face after becoming infected.
With us now is Jesus Guillen, a longtime survivor of HIV. He also sits on the HIV Planning Commission for San Francisco. Jesus, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having us here.
Sure. Jesus, let's start with Charlie Sheen. What does that mean for you, his admission to the world? What does it mean for you and other people living with HIV?
You know, for whatever reason, I really think that the timing is really good because we need to start the conversation about HIV once again. The interesting thing somehow is I think this should not be a story, you know. I've been HIV for almost 30 years, and many of the HIV long-term survivors, we've been here for a while. And it should not be that difficult for someone to come out like that, you know. It should be more about support and being there with the person, you know.
So you talk about being diagnosed decades ago. A lot of people who are diagnosed died quickly or died in the years after their diagnosis. I'm curious about what do you attribute you sitting here with us today having this conversation and being alive?
You know, yes, you're right. The person that infected me died 1 year after, you know, we were in touch. If anything, the only correlation that they've been saying that HIV long-term survivors we have in common is our coping skills. And what that means is somehow the way that we deal with life, you know. And of course, by now, is somehow a balance of be well informed, take your medicines, and I don't know, for me, my favorite word is balance. Keep a balanced life in some way.
Well, Jesus, what about the stigma, the shame, even the ignorance that comes along with having HIV, those that don't have it, what they think or how they treat others that are living with HIV?
Thank you. That's a very important thing, because even in these days, there's still many people that think that if they go to the same toilets or something, they're gonna get HIV. And I think this is a wonderful moment to start the conversation again and really talk about what is real and not real. And the stigma still is amazing, you know, it's really incredible for many people. I mean, even Charlie, I'm sorry, it's so difficult just to simply say, I'm HIV positive. It took me a while, it took me a long time to really accept it myself. And I think it's time for society to accept it too, you know?
Jesus, we want to bring in Oriol Gutierrez right now. He is editor of Pause magazine, which just released its list of 100 long-term survivors, Jesus being one of them. Thank you for joining us, Oriol, via Skype. My question to you is there still a lot of reluctance from individuals out there in regards to being tested for HIV? And why, if there is?
There certainly is. It's the stigma attached to the virus. Unfortunately, that's still very much the same stigma that we've had since the beginning of the epidemic. Yeah. For many people that aren't involved in this work day to day, and I know that's kind of hard to understand why the stigma would be so profound still. And there are many reasons for it, but nonetheless, the truth is that's the case. People like Jesus and the other members of this year's Pause 100 list that we put together are great examples of long-term survivors that not only are living with the virus long-term, but also are great advocates on behalf of the HIV/AIDS community. And that's why we wanted to celebrate his work and celebrate the work of the other 99 people on the list. Those folks kind of point the way to finding a way to break that stigma.
Well, and Oriol, let's talk about the goal of your magazine, Pause magazine. I was on the website today, and so much has changed over the years when it comes to HIV, the research, the treatment, the medicine, and even the treatment to prevent from getting it in the first place. So let's talk about the goal of Pause magazine.
Sure. PASA's been around since 1994, and it was founded by Sean Strube, who is still an activist today. He is also a long-term survivor. The magazine continues without him, but he's still very closely aligned with the magazine. Our vision is very simple. We want to empower people living with HIV/AIDS, and we want to uplift them, give them hope. Of course, we want to embrace those living without the virus that want to support us and our allies. But primarily, we're here for people living with the virus. The magazine serves that purpose, but so does the website in many ways. We have a personal section, we have a forum section. There are many, many resources online to form that community and provide that support.
Hey, Zeus, I'm curious, is it more difficult having HIV decades ago when you found out, or is it more difficult growing older with HIV today?
That's the
Not
question.
that you're old, I'm just saying. You look fantastic.
Listen, that's the question of $1 million. But definitely anyone that is newly diagnosed is an incredible difficult thing. And in those days, you got no idea how many of us we were told you're gonna die. How many times we were told that you're gonna die, and we're here. So getting older now with HIV is another process that honestly society is not even ready for us, and we need to get those services, those things that we need, because we are getting older with HIV. And we're here living with HIV, surviving with HIV. We're not just survivors, we're surviving with HIV every day, you know?
Okay, Jesus, Oriol, it's a certain important conversation to have. Thank you both for being here with us.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us here.